Okay, we're recording. Welcome to Papi and the Wildman podcast. How you
Podcast number 2.
Podcast number 2. The previous one was about professional wrestling. This one is going to be about Marvel movies. The Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Very good topic. That's a good topic.
So, Dad, when did you first get interested in the Marvel movies?
Oh boy! I mean, as a kid, I used to read like the comic books and such. So I guess I've been a fan of the Marvel universe dating back to the '60s.
Yeah, and obviously, if you don't know, which I think most people do, it's pretty much pop culture. But the Marvel movies that we know today came from comic books. And they were originally, and they put the comic books on the big screen in sensational movies.
Oh yeah, yep.
Marvel Studios, who's owned by Disney, started making their movies in 2008. But the original, it was, Spider-Man, back in 2001 was actually Sony that was doing it. So I want you to kind of guide me along here. So I guess the point is Marvel Studios is a relatively new phenomenon, and they haven't made all the movies, and the intellectual properties were all over the place. And so what was the first Marvel movie you saw?
The first Marvel Universe movie that I saw?
All right, yeah, I guess the first Marvel Universe movie you saw.
Oh, I guess that would be Iron Man #1.
That was 2008. Did you see it in the theaters back in 2008?
Yes, I did.
The first one I saw was Spider-Man in 2017. Which
and how did you get involved with that?
You suggested I go along, and I was very hesitant because, I don't know, I mean, superhero movies didn't seem like it'd be my cup of tea, but maybe I should have realized it would be because, I like professional wrestling. I like sensational characters like that. So maybe I should have realized, but, I went. It was kind of like the Sloviaki story. I took a bite, and I'm like, wow, this is delicious. I love it. And I got really into the Marvel Universe.
But you know what? It's interesting you say that, because let me tell the Sloviaki story, and then I'll also tell I'll parry it into the Marvel universe also. I used to get the gyros or the Sloviaki like every Friday, and when you were a really young boy, I'm going to say maybe. Maybe like 2, 3 years old. I'm talking about really young. I used to try to give you a piece of the Sloviaki or the gyro every time I would get it, and you had no interest in it. And I would always say to you, why don't you just try it and make sure, and see if you like it or not. And this went on for months, and you didn't try it. But one day you got curious, and you were like, yeah, you'll try it. So I cut a little piece and I gave it to you, and you were a little bit pensive about it. I fed it to you. You chewed it up, and you had like a very curious face on, and all of a sudden I could see the look in your face that you dug it. I mean, you loved it, to the point where you started saying more, and needless to say, this went on for a while, and it finally, about a month or so later, I had to get 2 on a Friday, because you were so taken back by it and enjoyed it so much that that you wanted your own. You didn't eat the whole thing, obviously, but I started and then get 2 anyway.
And from that moment on, I love gyros and Sloviaki, and now I like the Marvel movies. So I guess what lit me up was the Spider-Man movie, and from there I saw Thor Ragnarok.
But you know what? It was the same thing with the Marvel Universe. I mean, a couple of years prior to that, I was trying to get you to go to see the movies. I mean, I forget which ones I wanted you to partake in and view, but you kind of like you said, you kind of had no interest. That wasn't your bailiwick in regards to the type of movies that you liked. But finally, you broke down and you went with your brother Stephen and myself. We used to go to the movies, and you were hooked after that. You just totally enjoyed it, and to the point where you went back and you watched all the older movies as well. Is that correct?
Right. Shortly, Dad got me really into the Marvel Universe. We went back and watched all the old movies. I mean, he usually comes over on Saturday. We watched Iron Man, the Guardians of the Galaxy. So I've pretty much seen the majority of the Marvel movies. So yeah, that's true.
And now you're a devotee, are you not?
Yeah, exactly. And I think the most recent one was Spider-Man: Far From Home with Mysterio. After that was, there was Avengers Endgame.
But you're still not into the DC universe.
I do like Batman, and we saw the Joaquin Phoenix movie with the Joker. That was pretty good. It was more of a movie about mental illness than a movie about a sensational comic book villain, I thought. But they did have some supernatural elements, especially at the end. I mean, it really. So yeah, and maybe the sequel it will be more superhero-like. So I mean, we saw Joker. I like Batman. Superman's a bland character. I'm not really a fan of Superman. I thought what's it called was good. Shazam, which was actually originally called.
Oh, that's right. We saw Shazam.
Shazam, which was originally called Captain Marvel. But now Marvel has the copy. Long story. Okay, so if you don't know, in early on, Shazam was originally called Captain Marvel, but Marvel was able to get the name Captain Marvel, and then they put one of their
So when the Beatles wrote their song Bungalow Bill, and they mentioned Captain Marvel in that, were they talking about Shazam?
When they mentioned, they were talking about Shazam, correct? They were not talking about Marvel's Captain Marvel.
Oh, very interesting. You learn a little bit of. You know what? You watch the Papi and the Wildman podcast, and you learn a little bit every time.
Yes, you do. Okay, so should we get into the copyright issues? So since Marvel was going bankrupt in the late 90s, early 2000s, they sold a lot of their intellectual properties to various studios. For example, they sold Spider-Man to Sony, which is Columbia Pictures. They sold the Hulk to and Namor, the submariner. They sold them to Universal. They sold the X-Men to Fox. They're starting to get the characters back, and they have a working deal with Sony. So if you're wondering how come Marvel Studios is making Spider-Man movie, it's because Disney, which is Marvel Studios, and Sony has a co-agreement where they're able to use Spider-Man in the Marvel universe, make Marvel movies, but Sony still owns the character. So it's a little bit confusing, but yeah. So Marvel and Disney Sony and Disney have a weird relationship where they're kind of co-making Spider-Man movies.
Is that the same reason why they can use the Hulk in their movies?
Okay, so
or is that a different reason?
So I think it was 2003. They made a movie. It was just called Hulk. That was a completely Universal. Universal made it. Universal made the Hulk movie. Universal produced it, distributed it. But then when they failed to make a sequel, the rights to the Hulk reverted back to Marvel Studios in 2008. In 2008, they made a Marvel Studios movie called The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton. But they have the production rights. They can do whatever they want. But if they want to distribute a standalone Hulk movie, they need to use Universal as the distributor. So basically, Universal owns one key piece, and that is the distribution rights to Hulk-related movies. With that being said, The reason Disney hasn't made a standalone Hulk movie is because Universal will get all the money. They have the creative freedom. They can do whatever they want with the character. And you might say, how come the Hulk is in Avengers and Thor Ragnarok? Because if they use Hulk to a point that it doesn't become a standalone movie, they can use him. But if it crosses over into a Hulk-centric movie, they have to pay. Universal has to distribute it.
Oh, so that's why Marvel can use the Hulk in the Avengers type of movie, or the Avengers, and it's not a Hulk movie, but they can use the character.
Right. They can use the character. They own the production rights. They can use the Hulk as long as it's not a Hulk movie. Which
got it.
They found some weird loophole that, but it's kind of like, it doesn't really make any sense, but they found some loophole.
That's why you got some good lawyers to find those loopholes, right?
I know. And Disney has all the best lawyers. And Universal has great lawyers too, and they're like, it's like Pepsi and Coke. They're both like bickering over the Hulk, but Disney found the loophole,
Hey, I like that Vanilla Coke.
Vanilla Coke is great. Okay, so you might be wondering, Fox and the X-Men and Deadpool. I'm wearing a Deadpool shirt if you don't know. Why, recently Fox Studios went out of business. Disney acquired them. So the X-Men, Deadpool, that's going to enter the Marvel Cinematic Universe now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they incorporate all of the, I guess all of the, I'm going to classify them as the X-Men.
X-Force.
Into the universe. Yeah.
X-Force. You remember that with Cable and who's that actor that was Vanisher? What was the actor's name? Brad Pitt?
Brad Pitt.
Right, Brad Pitt was Vanisher. Yep.
That was funny.
Deadpool was, the first Deadpool was expected to be unsuccessful, and it had a very limited budget, but it was like a surprising success. And I think it was Ryan Reynolds that really did it. I think he did a great job as Deadpool.
Yes, his acting and his just ability to, it's not being sarcastic, but it just his wit causes the character to just really gleam.
And he's a little bit like a bad boy. Like he has a heart of gold, but he is still a bad boy. You know what I mean? It's kind of like,
what you gonna do?
It's kind of like he says he's not a superhero, but I guess technically you would classify him as a superhero. But he still is he's still a sarcastic, and Deadpool is like an R-rated comedy, basically. But it's also a superhero movie, and I don't know. It's a good movie, and we saw both of them together.
All right, so to our fans out there, here's your quiz, and I'll let Andy give you the answer in a couple of seconds, but I'll let you think about this for a second. Ryan Reynolds, yeah, we all know him as Deadpool, correct?
Right.
But prior to him being Deadpool, he was another superhero in the movies. So does anybody know which superhero he was?
He was the Green Lantern in DC's universe. Actually, back in 2002 or whatever, I don't know, really years ago, I was watching a movie, and it was called Van Wilder. And I was watching it with friends or whatever, and I was watching the movie, and I'm like, this movie sucks, but I went back and I'm like, wow, I was watching a Ryan Reynolds movie years ago, and I didn't even realize it. So I was watching a Ryan Reynolds movie when I was in high school, and I didn't even realize I was watching it who was going to become Deadpool,
And what's a little bit more, a little bit interesting.
Van Wilder's sorry to interrupt, but Van Wilder's a bad movie. I don't suggest you watch it. But
he was also in a movie. I think it was called My Bodyguard or something to that nature. But he was protecting the person he was protecting was actually Nick Fury.
Oh, Samuel L. Jackson. Interesting.
Samuel L. Jackson, exactly. And I was like, wow. So there was the connection. There's another connection right there.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So So let's get into the Tobey Maguire movies. It seems like they have big plans for Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe at the moment. And it looks. Speaking of Spider-Verse, did you see the? Okay, so before we get into the Spider-Verse with Miles Morales, the animated one, we'll do Tobey Maguire. So it looks like Spider-Man. I mean, obviously, the first phase of Marvel was Iron Man, which is Robert Downey Jr., Captain America, Thor. Now it seems like the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to be Spider-Man, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel. It looks like they might bring back some of the original Spider-Man, like Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and like a multi-dimensional Spider-Verse with all the characters coming back, like the multiverse of madness, just craziness. And it could be very interesting. And it seems like they're building towards, I forget what their names are. It was called like Devious Six. It's going to be Mysterio, Venom, Morbius. So they have big plans for the Spider-Man character if Sony and Disney continue to work together.
Peter Porker?
Peter Porker. That's John Mulaney, by the way. I was telling, I was saying how Peter Porker, which is Spider-Ham, was horrible. And he's like, that's John Mulaney. I'm like, I don't know. I don't see the potential in Peter Porker.
No. Or what about Noir?
That's Nicolas Cage, Spider-Man Noir.
That's Nicolas Cage, correct.
The Into the Spider-Verse with Miles Morales, it was a really good animated movie. That wasn't Marvel Studios, but Peter B. Porker, the loser Spider-Man, was very funny. I like Spider-Gwen. It was like a really good movie, and I think it won like Best Animation, or it won some awards. And they're making a sequel, which I believe is going to get released in 2022. Obviously, the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse with Miles Morales was a very good animated movie. People didn't expect it to be very good, but it was, and they're going to be making a sequel.
Yeah, I'd be interested in that. I mean, because the first one was really nice.
Right. Definitely. And elaborate. Do you have anything interesting to note about the Marvel Universe, Spider-Man, the Hulk, anything like that?
Well, yeah, it's a little bit of a shame right now that we're going through the COVID-19 and all the movies are shut down. Hollywood is shut down, and they're not putting the movies out. I mean, Marvel was on a nice roll. They had a nice plan in regards to introducing, like, I guess, going to the next chapter of their, of their movie making, and then this just throws the whole plan into the blender, and it's like somebody hit frappe, and it's just spinning. Unfortunately. With social distancing and such, it's going to be difficult to get people into a movie theater. So it's still going to take a while before the movie theaters open up. And once they open up, there's a lot of movies that are already made that will have to be shown in the theaters. So it's going to be a long time before, the whole process of the Marvel universe it expands again. But you know what, like everything else, we have to be patient. We have to do the right thing. We have to stay safe. We got to keep continuing to do the social distancing, and we have to make sure that everybody is safe and the virus is taken care of and eliminated, and so we can go back to that normal of the past.
So James Bond was originally supposed to be released in March, but due to COVID-19, that's going to be pushed back to November. By the way, it seems like they might be transitioning into a female James Bond who will continue the trilogy. That's the rumor. There's going to be a new female 007. And
do you think they'll call her Jane Bond?
I don't know. She's going to be I think she's going to be the next 007 or the next secret agent, but I don't know if they'll go that. But we'll see. I mean, obviously, we haven't seen the movie. It's probably going to be Daniel Craig's last, who I thought was actually the best Bond. Daniel Craig. I was a big fan of his.
Yeah, we liked the Daniel Craig. He did well in the movies.
Casino Royale and Skyfall were no question the best two Bond movies. People have nostalgia to the Sean Connery ones. Some people even like Pierce Brosnan. But I think, I mean, critically speaking, Daniel Craig was the best Bond.
You know what? I kind of agree. Um, as you said, there's a lot of nostalgia of like the old Bond and with Moore and Connery. But you know what? The current movies, they really upped the game with those movies, and they really did a good job with them.
Okay, let's get back to Marvel for example. I heard a rumor. One sec. I heard a rumor that Marvel Studios might have gotten the rights to the Hulk and Namor the Submariner back, the distribution rights, that is. So, if that's true, rumor is they're going to do a Hulk standalone movie with Mark Ruffalo that's going to start out, it's going to be like a flashback movie. It's going to start out, like his origin story, what he was doing during the Avengers, and bringing him up to date. So it's going to be like pretty much the story of the Hulk, starting from the beginning, leading us up to date. That's if they got the rights back. I'm crossing my fingers, holding my breath. I hope Marvel Studios has the rights to the Hulk.
Oh, that would be nice. That would really be nice.
Namor the Submariner. Rumor is what's his Water Kingdom? Rumor is Namor is going to be the villain in the next Black Panther. Namor, you might be saying, is a superhero. So somebody's going to be pulling the strings and is going to be manipulating Namor against Wakanda, Black Panther T'Challa's kingdom. And in the end, they're going to discover T'Challa and Namor are really allies. They're being manipulated to turn against each other, and in the end, they're going to become allies. But the point I'm making is Namor might be back with Marvel Studios. Speaking, is the rumor. And
that would be nice too. Yeah, definitely.
I don't know what happened behind closed doors, if they paid a little bit of money to get the rights back, or if it just reverted back for some reason. But rumor is, according to some report earlier this year, it could just be clickbait. Maybe I'm just reading some clickbait article that's making stuff up. But rumor is they got the rights back.
Very nice. That would be nice to see.
Right, that would be very nice to see. So some people say, Sony making Spider-Man movies, a lot of people want that to revert back to Marvel Studios and Disney. But in a way, I kind of like that another company is making Marvel movies. They're going to make Morbius, Venom 2, and they're a little bit darker. They're a little bit more edgy. They aren't, like a lot of people say the Disney movies, for example, are a little bit like immature, cookie cutter, like fun for the whole family, childlike, like the Disney World of Marvel movies, where Sony does a more edgy Marvel movie. Maybe it's good that we have two different companies that are doing different takes to Marvel movies. I know you personally said you want to see it all under Disney. You want to see it all under Marvel Studios, right?
Yeah, I think so too. And the only reason I would like that is because, well, you know what? The only reason I'd like that is because at least you'll get the full, I guess, direction as to where they want to go, with the characters. And if you have multiple studios, they can take the characters in different directions. And, that's just my opinion.
Right. And, Disney wants all the rights back. They want to. And, it kind of seemed like a no-brainer. Why didn't one company, Sony, which is Columbia Pictures, they could have acquired every single Marvel studio in the late 90s. But, some Sony executive said, all people care about is Spider-Man. That's the only superhero. So all they bought was Spider-Man. They could have gotten Black Panther, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor. They could have literally had anyone. Marvel Studios and Disney would have never happened. But some Sony executive said, nobody cares besides Spider-Man. And, the rest is history.
Those are business decisions that you have to live by, But you know what? In all fairness, too, the comic book industry was drying up. Nobody was buying comics anymore. And the fact that, these characters maybe would not be as popular as they had been in years past, why take the risk and spend big money on characters that weren't going to generate any monies for you? And the rest, as I say, is history.
Right, and believe it or not, for the time, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies are very good. What's it called? William Dafoe played a great Green Goblin. Spider-Man 2 with Dr. Octopus, a lot of people say is the best superhero movie of all time. Spider-Man 3 left a lot to be desired. Sam Raimi had, was incorporating Venom. Oh, you got the trilogy, the Spider-Man trilogy. So a lot of people say Spider-Man 3 was a rushed job, and it was kind of disappointing. But I liked it for what it was. Doesn't Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire do a little dance that everybody makes fun of in the movie?
Yeah, I mean, you know what, they had their place, but I guess the character of Spider-Man really blossomed more with the induction back into the Marvel universe.
And then after the Tobey Maguire saga, they made the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man saga. Basically, if you don't know, if Sony doesn't make a Spider-Man movie in 5 years, the rights revert back to Marvel Studios. But they made the Andrew Garfield movies, and they were disastrous. It was a rush job. They pretty much killed the Spider-Man. Nobody cared about Spider-Man. It was a dead character. And then with Tom Holland, they reached a negotiation where they can include Spider-Man in the Marvel universe. Sony and Disney will work together on the movies. And Kevin Feige and the Marvel universe brought Spider-Man back to relevance. They saved Spider-Man, basically.
They saved the Spider-Man.
And now there's a potential for him to be the center guy, like the leader of the Marvel universe. And
the top dog, the head cheese.
The head cheese, oh, exactly. And he is Marvel's most famous superhero, and that's the reason, Sony bought him in the late 90s. I mean, if you wonder, why did they buy Spider-Man? Why did Universal buy the Hulk? Because these are the most popular characters. In 2008, they had to create the Marvel Universe with lesser-known characters, the bogus ones, the B-Team, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America. They didn't have their big names, They had to do it with lesser-known talents, and they did.
Ant-Man,
yeah. Even though Ant-Man is a little bit of a joke, I like the movies. They're fun.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, obviously, we realize he's a bootleg superhero, but the movies are good. And isn't the Wasp Kate from Lost?
We have to go home.
We got to go back, Jack.
Gotta go back, Jack.
We got to go back. So, if you had to say, what is your favorite Marvel Studios movie, if you had to pick one?
I would say either the first Avengers movie or the first Captain America movie.
Ooh, I know some people don't like the first Captain America movie. Some people say The Winter Soldier is the best Marvel movie.
That's a really good one as well.
In a way, I kind of like Spider-Man: Homecoming. I know Black Panther won some awards, so a lot of people like Black Panther. Since Spider-Man: Homecoming was the first one I saw and it got me really addicted, I'm going to go with Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Can't go wrong with the Spider-Man.
And obviously, Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War was a 10-year journey, culminating with defeating Thanos. And should I spoil the ending with Iron Man, or just let people watch it themselves? Let's just say the Thanos snap happens.
And who ended Thanos' reign?
Robert Downey Jr.
No.
Oh, the Hulk.
Yeah, wasn't it the Hulk?
No, sort of. I think it was Robert Downey Jr. He says at the end.
Well, yeah, you can go both ways.
What's it called? Thanos says, "I am inevitable," and he snaps. And then Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, says, "And I am Iron Man." He snaps, and that's the end of the movie, pretty much. So
I just spoiled it, but yeah, exactly. So So yeah, don't watch it.
Actually, at the end of Iron Man, in the first Iron Man in 2008, that's what he says. So it's kind of like a throwback. And there's a lot of Iron Man throwbacks. And obviously, if you don't know, when he does the snap, he passes away, and that's pretty much the end of the Iron Man character.
Boy, now you really spoiled it.
Right. I think a lot of people have seen it by this point.
But we're not here. Yeah, there are people who haven't. So, we won't tell the rest of the story.
Right. There's a lot to digest, and a lot of people didn't like the Professor Hulk character, and they didn't think they did right by the Hulk character. They made him too silly, made him too buffoon-like. They think the Hulk is supposed to be more rage-filled, more powerful. They really nerfed and made the Hulk weak in the Marvel universe.
But it was fair. I mean, it was a good Hulk character.
That's a good point. And last but not least, if you don't know, they changed actors for the Hulk. In the 2008 movie, The Incredible Hulk for Marvel Studios, it was originally played by Edward Norton. And then in 2012, when Mark Ruffalo replaced Edward Norton. Why is that? They said the reason has nothing to do with monetary factors. It had nothing to do with money. They said Edward Norton was not a team player. He kept changing the script. He was hard to work with, basically. And they said they wanted somebody to be a team player, and they replaced Edward Norton with Mark Ruffalo.
And I think even though I like Norton, I think they did a good job with picking Ruffalo because he does a well job. I mean, he does a good character, a Hulk, and Bruce Banner, of course.
They said Edward Norton. I mean, Mark Ruffalo is too silly. He doesn't. They said Edward Norton's a better actor, and he plays somebody with PTSD that's afraid that he's going to transform into the Hulk. Somebody that's in a constant state of panic. He plays that role better. So some people say Edward Norton was actually the better Hulk, but I mean the better Bruce Banner, and Mark Ruffalo. A lot of people, I know Lou Ferrella. What's the guy who played the Hulk in the 70s or 80s? What was that guy's name? Correct.
Ferrigno.
Lou Ferrigno, right?
Lou Ferrigno.
All right. He said he's very disappointed with Mark Ruffalo's Hulk. He wishes it would have been Edward Norton the entire time. I don't know. I think Mark Ruffalo is fine. It's just a little disappointing they had to replace actors, but it is what it is.
It gives them something to do.
Right. It's a little disappointing, but they replaced the actors. It is what it is, and
that's what it is.
That is what it is. I guess that should do it. Do you have any last words to say about the Marvel Studios, the podcast?
No, I think we covered all the bases on the universe.
Guardians of the Galaxy with Batista. Maybe we'll go get
that's another day and another adventure. We'll talk about the Guardians of the Galaxy. We'll talk about Batista, and we'll talk about also Doctor Strange. Good.
Yeah, they're going to make a sequel to that. The Multiverse of Madness. We should.
Don't let the cat out of the bag.
Actually, let's talk about
that at another podcast.
Let's talk about the Multiverse of Madness while it's still on my mind. Rumor is they're going to do multiverse. Like they're going to probably bring back the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. It would be interesting if they brought back like multiple Hulks, like the Mark Ruffalo Hulk, the Edward Norton Hulk. I don't think Ed Norton would ever agree to that. But imagine they have like multiverse, multi-dimensions, like multi-Spider-Mans. They bring back Quicksilver. I think it would be very interesting if they had like multiverse and like, and maybe they even bring.
But which Quicksilver will they bring back?
I would say the Marvel Studios one, the one that was in Avengers. What was the name?
And not the X-Men one.
Avengers, Age of Ultron, that one. I think maybe they'll bring back the Green Goblin, William Dafoe. I think William Dafoe did a great job as the Green Goblin, and they should just hire him again. They just bring him back through the multiverse.
Very good.
And that is what it is. Papi and the Wildman podcast number 2, Marvel movies.